So this week is National Science Week, so I wanted to share with you some really inspirational women in science. It's called 50 Fearless Pioneers Who Changed the World. So I'm just going to read a few of my favourites. Okay, this one is called Ada Lovelace, and she was a mathematician and a writer. So when Ada Lovelace first saw the difference engine, she became obsessed. The early computing pioneer Charles Babbage invented this gigantic gear-filled calculator, and after meeting him in 1833, Ada convinced him to work with her. Ada's mother, Anne Isabella Milbank, was a mathematician who wanted the right upbringing for her daughter. Ada's father was a farmed poet, Lord Byron. The wildness that made him an amazing poet also made Byron a lousy husband, which led Anne to leave him after Ada was born. Ada was given an unusually strict mathematical education. Ada met Charles Babbage when she was just 17 and very persistent. She begged him to take her on as a student, but he was much too busy. When Ada saw a French article about his newest idea, the analytical engine, she saw her chance to impress him. She translated the paper into English and published it in 1843. But it wasn't all. She added her own notes, making it twice as long. This got Charles's attention, and their collaboration began. Ada imagined a world where computers did more than just calculations, where they could write music and become extensions to human thought. She also designed a way to program the analytical engine using punch cards and a sequence of rational numbers, and it was the first computer program ever. Ada remains an inspiration to this day. Her name has become proof that women could accomplish great things in technology, computing, and programming. How inspirational is she? Right, the next one I'm going to read is Grace Hopper, who is a Navy admiral and also another computer scientist. So Grace Hopper was a relentless trailblazer, recognised as the mother of computing programming. She was born in New York City in 1906 and earned a PhD in mathematics from Yale in 1934. Grace was working as a maths professor when the United States entered the Second World War. In 1943, Grace quit her job to join the Women Accepted for Volunteer Emergency Service. The Navy sent her to Harvard to program one of the first ever electronic computers. Back then, calculations were done by a large group of people. The new Mark I would be able to solve equations that were too complicated for that old system. Grace's team used Mark I to solve important problems for the war effort, including implosion equation for the Manhattan Project. After the war, Grace joined the private sector. At the time, programmers needed an advanced degree in maths and used binary code to program. Grace Hopper thought it would be easier just to talk to a computer in English. Everyone thought Grace was nuts. But she proved them wrong when she invented the first compiler. It led her to create COBOL, the first universal computer language, and thanks to Grace, anyone can learn code. Grace returned to the Navy in 1967. Even after she retired, just short of turning 80, she continued to lecture and teach, always reminding the world that the most damaging phrase in the English language is, "We've always done it this way." Again, another really inspirational woman. And the final one I'm going to read is Rachel Carson, who was a marine biologist, conservationist, and an author. From an early age, Rachel Carson could be found looking at birds, bugs, and fish. She was born in 1907 and grew up on a farm in Pennsylvania, USA. She got her master's in zoology at Johns Hopkins University and then went to the Bureau of Fisheries, writing radio scripts about fish. When she wasn't at her job, she wrote about wildlife. Rachel's first book, Under the Sea Wind, got little attention, but her next book, The Sea Around Us, became a sensation. She won the National Book Award and quit her job to write The Edge of the Sea. In the 1950s, the US government and private industry started to overuse the pesticides DDT, and we now know that DDT is highly toxic and can cause liver damage and seizures. DDT was being used everywhere, from insect repellent to crop spray, but it killed more than just pests. Rachel received a letter from an old friend saying that the plane spraying DDT had killed all the songbirds in her sanctuary, and this inspired Rachel to write her greatest book, Silent Spring. Rachel's research found that DDT was poisoning livestock, killing fish, and fatally weakening birds' eggs. Chemical companies slandered her work, but Rachel would not be bullied. The truth about DDT became public. Rachel even spoke in front of the US Senate. She wrote Silent Spring while battling cancer, and she died 2 years after it was published. Her work led to the creation of the US Environmental Protection Agency and inspired the global environmental movement. So, loads of amazing women here. I only shared 3 stories, but there are 50 in here, and there are hundreds more inspirational women and men in science. So take some time this week to kind of learn about them and think about what you could be doing as well. Thanks.